Hello, everybody, and welcome to the LFC Transfer Room. My name is Louis, and I'm joined today by Jay, Rigo, Ben, and Kev. It's a action-packed, star-studded stream for you today. Very excited to get into this one as the clock ticks ever closer to the window slamming shut at 11 p.m. on September 1st. So that's this Thursday for anyone who's unfamiliar with the dates at the moment. We'll go around first. Jay, how are you doing this evening? I mean, bloody good result yesterday, obviously, so that must be helping a little bit.
Yeah, boss mate. I feel like I've been waiting for that for a few weeks. We were getting all excited every weekend for the match to be on, and obviously prior to yesterday, it hasn't been the best performances or results. So I needed that yesterday, and they delivered it even better than I expected. So yeah, boss mate.
Fantastic. Rigo, first time being on stream with you. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Glad to be on. Been looking forward to joining you guys for a while. Doing well. Obviously, we should all be in a good mood after that thrilling win yesterday, 9-0 over at the first half. But we couldn't ask for more, so maybe one more goal just to set that Premier League record.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a disappointment, really, wasn't it? Almost not worth it. But Ben, this is your debut, I believe, on the stream.
Yes,
So
it
everybody
is.
in the live
Yeah,
chat, give him some love. How are you doing, Ben?
I'm very good. Yeah, I mean, obviously yesterday was a very good result. Thought we'd get a first one at Manchester, but it's what it is. I guess 9-0.
Yeah, take it or leave it, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
and Kev, how are you doing?
Still on cloud nine, mate, from yesterday. So all good, mate.
Yeah, the headlines write themselves for that, don't they?
They certainly do, Lou. You knew it was going to come for me. You know what I mean? So
Fantastic. I'll start. We'll go back in reverse order. So I'll start with you, Kev. I mean, there's a lot to digest from yesterday, but I think beyond all of the transfer stuff and needing a midfielder, which we do and we will talk about, I just want to talk about the performance and how different it was from those first three games of the season. It was a massive improvement, wasn't it? Obviously,
it was, and it was nice. You look at the pressure that's been on the club recently, and they've got hard shoulders, being burdened down with all the pressure of what's going on injury wise. Crisis is ahead, and we're not going to win the league after 2 games or 3 games in. Bad performance against United, and the season's over after 3 games. But if you could have asked for a better response and a better team to play against, that was the game. That was the game yesterday. We showed from minute one the intensity that was being missing in previous games. We looked more in control. The performance was right as I say, from minute one, and we were taking our chances. The only downside for me, if there was a downside, is that it was a shame that Nunes was suspended for that game, because I think he would have gave him more confidence going into the remaining season, and especially with the games we got up, difficult games against Newcastle and Goodison Park as well. So it would have given him a bit of a confidence boost. But it was great to see it. And made up that area, got his goal after the sadness of what's happened to his family member. I think it was his mum or his nan. So it's good to see Carvalho coming on, scoring. Everyone played their role yesterday, and everyone had a good game. There was not one that you could actually criticise for the way they played or the manner that they played. It was good for Bobby. He's got his confidence up, and for every time we get beat, you always want a way of coming back and thrashing someone, and we've been looking at doing that for a couple of years. And the fact that we scored 9 yesterday, it was great, boss.
yeah. I mean, Ben, what do you think was the biggest change? Because on the watch along, I was just with the live chat. We were just saying it just feels like it's maybe effort. Although I don't doubt these players' effort. We've seen them time and time again, and they really let us down effort wise. But it didn't feel like there was a mass amount of tactical tweaks. It felt maybe like there was just that, pure desire to go out there and prove a point. What do you think about that?
Yeah, even when we played Fulham and we played Palace, and even United, we still dominated the game. It wasn't like we got battered all over the park. It wasn't like we weren't. I mean, against United, they ran hard on us, to be honest. But that's kind of just because they got battered 4-0 at Brentford the week before, so they had to prove something. It's kind of derby game, never going to happen. But I think just against Bournemouth at Anfield, it was. I think Fabinho helped a lot as well. Not starting Milner. I think it was just a different game. I think we needed Nunes at United. But obviously Bobby playing well. I don't think he had a great game at United. If Bobby plays well, Liverpool play well. Diaz was on fire. So yeah, I just think as a whole, it's just a lot better from the whole team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Rigo, Ben's just summed it up there about Firmino, and even the commentators said it during the game on the stream. I was watching at least anyway. That when Firmino plays well, the team does play well. But I think probably all five of us would be in agreement that he hasn't played well for quite a while, and this one has definitely taken us by surprise, but many people in the footballing world as well. How good was it to see him back amongst it in such fine fashion?
It was tremendous to see. You saw his confidence there. He was trying all of his fancy passes, all the dribbling, the connecting of play, and finally he scored at Anfield. It's been 2 years since he scored at Anfield. So he was at the top of his game as far as a masterclass in the center forward position. Nearly perfect game as far as ratings wise. He had 9.8. I don't know how he didn't have a 10, but to me it was a throwback performance, and one that to go to Kev's point as far as confidence goes, I think is something that we needed. We needed a match like this where Firmino led from the top. And I believe all of it, for the most part, leads from that pressure. I think we didn't really give them room to breathe. They had zero opportunity to connect play. And the difference from the 3 prior matches is that we, for my point of view, I thought Fabinho was on it and cutting those passes before they even got to threaten that back line. So we didn't see Trent having to cover all that ground trying to track back, or the high line getting caught off guard with a speedster like Zaha or someone of that nature. So I felt we were definitely much more in control. As far as possession-wise, it mirrored pretty much the prior 3 matches up in the 70s, but it felt much different. Every time we had the ball, it felt like we wanted to score a goal instead of trying to be too fancy or methodical with our chances. We were like, if we had just a little bit of space, we were going for it. And that was great to see. We were much more in control in the midfield. We didn't have that donut shape that we had against Man U when there was no one in the midfield. Jordan, for the most part, stuck to his positional role. And again, Fabinho, he was on his game as opposed to the prior couple of matches that he started where he got dribbled through. So it was very definitely good to see, and good to see upcoming for the match against Newcastle. So very positive signs going forward.
Thank you to everybody who is in the stream. Please do like the video and please do subscribe to the channel as well. We will be talking about all of those transfer rumours. I can see some questions in the chat. We will get on to that. Just want to round up this final bit of post-match chat from the Bournemouth game, because it's not every day you get to say you won 9-0, even if it is against a team such as Bournemouth. Jay, about Firmino as well, I guess this is the next question: is what can he build from this in terms of confidence and going into this next few games? He's got one more game before Nunes is back on the cards again from his suspension. Do you have much belief that he can genuinely crank this up and maybe we see a little bit of a revival from Firmino?
Not really, to be honest, mate. No. I don't want to be a killjoy because we won 9-0, but we played a very poor Bournemouth side, mate. He scored a tap in. One of his assists is from a bad touch. So you can say, oh, we got 2 assists, 2 goals. One's a tap in, one's a bad touch, and Elliot just hits a lovely strike at the end of it. So I'll be honest now. Games like that, yeah, against poorer opposition at home, I'm sure he can do that type of job, but he still wouldn't be my first pick going into the big games like City, Chelsea, Spurs, things of that nature. So yeah, he can do his cameo all great, but I don't think we should be getting ahead of ourselves thinking, oh, Firmino's back. He isn't.
Yeah, I mean, Ben, I feel like a big part of seeing Firmino like that is that it does potentially give us a genuine plan B from this. I don't think many people, with the arrival of Núñez and the way Firmino's been for the last 18 months, expect Firmino to go and solidify the number 9 role again. I do believe that he's probably past that, but throughout the summer since we signed Núñez, we've spoken about Firmino could always be that plan B. If an out-and-out number 9's not working, we can bring Firmino on who can be that slightly more intricate, slightly more technical player maybe, and reverting to that false 9 role. This game, if he can build upon it, that could be massive for us when we come up against stiffer opposition where maybe Núñez's attacking input is blunted somehow, or we need to change things up. This could be a nice tool for Liverpool going forward.
I agree. I don't think Liverpool should get rid of Firmino anytime soon, but I don't think he should also be starting the big games for Liverpool. I think Núñez and Jota should always start ahead of Firmino, but obviously Firmino's done a lot for Liverpool in his time there. He's I don't know if you'd consider him a club legend, but he's highly loved. He's loved by a lot of Liverpool fans. So, but yeah, he offers something different. But I feel as though if you can nullify Firmino, then you nullify a lot of Liverpool, which is why I think Núñez is such a good signing, because Núñez offers something different as well. And so does Jota. So, I mean, we've got loads of options up front. I don't know.
Yeah. And Rigo, I wanted to ask you as well, maybe just before we kind of close this out, the two young'uns in our midfield, Harvey Elliott and Fabio Carvalho. I mean, Carvalho with more of a cameo role, but still grabbing his goal as well. The future looks bright in that regards, doesn't it? Harvey Elliott showing, why he started those first 3 games last season. I feel like there was a bit of doubt creeping in amongst some people, maybe not saying he was finished or not worthy of playing for the club, but some people may be thinking, no, he's still a good few years off. He needs to go out on loan. But he's starting to demonstrate that he deserves to be in and around this team, like in the core, doesn't he?
Yes, definitely. To me, at least in my humble opinion, he's a deserved starter on that right side. The way he links up with Salah, as well as Trent Alexander and whoever our striker is that day, he's just such a willing passer, hard worker. I know some of the things that have been brought up as far as his defensive abilities, but he's all effort. And if you look at his stats, he's one of our top ones in recoveries as well. So he's doing it all on the pitch. I think perhaps not expecting him to complete a 90 minutes every single match, but definitely being one of our top 11. I think he deserves that spot from his performance, enthusiasm, and you can see how the entire team surrounded him after his goal, how much they all care for him. So I think he's an inspiration to them. And you can tell he loves this club through and through. So in my opinion, he's our definite starter on the right side with Fabinho in the middle. We just need to kind of figure out who's going to be on that left side. To me, it cannot be Henderson. At least on a regular basis, we need to find stability there. And in my opinion, we should give Carvalho the full shot against Newcastle midweek to see what he can do. I'd rather start off with the young guys to begin with, and if need be, the veterans come in to kind of close out the match or calm things down depending on how things go. I'd rather start off with our young guns there.
Again, lots of people joining and getting involved. So please do make sure you're liking the video. It really helps out a small little channel like ours. And if you haven't done so yet, please do subscribe. We go live every night at 7:30 to discuss everything Liverpool when we go live for games, pre-match, post-match, all that good stuff. So please do keep getting involved. It's lovely to see so many of you here. Now let's start talking about that ticking clock. Transfer deadline day, September the 1st, Thursday, 11 p.m. Kev, we heard last week that Liverpool are looking to sign a midfielder, or at least that's what's very heavily been suggested. But the days are ticking and there's not much of any solidity coming out in terms of genuine targets or genuine interests. Are we getting to that point where we start to worry a little bit? Are we leaving it a bit too late?
I think we have left it a bit too late, to be honest. I think this should have been a priority at the start of the window. I think we've mentioned a lot on this channel, especially in pre-season, of where the weakness lied and where our frailties were this season. And every one of us pointed to the midfield. So if us numpties can see that, I don't know why the likes of the coaches haven't been able to be on board on this and have something in place. I think it's getting a little bit. It's a bit naive, I think, from the club, the way we are in our transfers. I just don't think we should be waiting till the end of the window to relying on bringing on someone in. And some of the people that we're linked to, especially the Sheffield United there in midfield, it kind of deflates everyone and doesn't make it sound, well, I'd sooner have no one than if you're bringing someone like that in. He's got a similar record of injuries as Kate over the last 2 years. So what's the point in bringing someone in who's injured as the same amount as the other people that are on the fringes? I think this should have been a point to bring him more in at the start, because next season we're putting pressure on us to bring in 2, maybe 3 next season, and I can't see that being. So it's a worry for me going forward. We're going to be linked, as you've probably seen, Louis. We're going to be linked with everyone and everyone until the window shuts. We're going to have loads of parody tweets going on as to who we're linked with, who's going to come in. I had one yesterday about De Jong, which I had to laugh at. But you know, it's insane, mate. At the minute, I generally hope we get someone, but I don't want like a Ben Davis kind of signing, where it's just a half-hearted attempt to bring someone in. If we can, try and bring someone in that will be better than what we've got, which is what Jay's been saying all the time, and a lot of others. You know, if we're bringing someone in for a stopgap, it's not a stopgap if it's better than what we've already got. And there are people out there that we can do and achieve, but whether we can at this late stage, I don't know. What's your thoughts, Louis? Do you think we will bring someone in, or...?
I don't know. I've got a bad feeling, but I also don't want to upset Jen in the live chat, because she is convinced that we're going to sign someone, and she gets very angry at the suggestion that we won't. So I won't say too much. But no, I mean, I think it's a very valid point. I mean, Jay, teams like Everton, who are doing a lot of late business, teams like back in the day, Sunderland when they were in the Prem, Aston Villa, you can do late deals because you can go and sign someone from another club who's a bit out of favour. Like Everton have gone and signed Connor Cody only a week or 2 ago, who probably improves Everton, but for Wolves, who are higher up in the league than them, he was out of favour, surplus to requirements for Bruno Lager, because he's maybe looking to switch to a back four. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's different, isn't it? A team like Liverpool, who, if you're going to sign someone, it's got to be someone who is going to improve the team. But where do you pull that out from this late in the window when top teams are looking to be settled? They're not looking to suddenly sell one of their top players to a potential European rival or something, and then have to go and find their own replacements as well. We have put ourselves in a tricky situation.
Kev hit the nail on the head with literally pretty much everything he just said, to be honest. Every Liverpool fan seems to know that we needed a midfielder, and to leave it to the last week of the window to then come out and say, yeah, we do need one. It's put us in a bit of a poor stance in terms of negotiation, because any club that you're negotiating with now knows you need a midfielder, you're desperate for it. We're right at the end of the window, so might not be able to replace the player that Liverpool wants, so that's going to add onto the fee of whatever the fee would be already. So we have put ourselves in a bit of a stupid position, to be honest. And again, agreeing with Kev, I don't think someone like Sander Berge, who's got a terrible injury record, he's playing in the Championship for a team in the Championship who aren't particularly one of the strongest, and he's 24. It's not like he's dead young and can grow into it. You know, he should be playing as well as he can be, 24 now, and then getting better as the years go on. So yeah, we have left it late. I just hope we get someone that does improve the squad and isn't just a stopgap, like Kev said.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people getting their thoughts in on who we could be going for, a lot of names being thrown out. Luckily, Sanderberg looks like it's been, well, shut down, the rumour at least, by someone from the Echo, but, you know, it's not always 100%, so who knows? Maybe it could still happen. Yeah, Ben. Normally I feel like Liverpool fans, despite wanting us to spend more, we get a little bit snobbish about how well we handle ourselves in transfer windows, in that we won't be conned for money and we won't leave it till the last minute. But now we've got our manager and even our centre back, Virgil van Dijk, coming out and saying that we need midfielders. Does that feel really bizarre at this stage of the window as well? Like, obviously, there's probably a consensus around the world that Liverpool may look for one, but to have key personnel come out and say it, it's just making negotiations even harder, like Jay said, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe when you leave this late into the window, you're not making it any easier for yourself, obviously, because everyone knows you need a midfielder. Everyone's going to up their prices. And I thought the Liverpool also holding out for Jude Bellingham next summer. So maybe they've got that in mind. So they're thinking if we can just hang on this season, maybe next year we'll get Bellingham and it'll be all right. But personally, I don't think that'll be good enough because you can't just throw away a season. Like, you can't do it really at this level. Yeah, and making, I don't know. I mean, we were in for Tchouaméni. Well, allegedly we're in for Tchouaméni, but Madrid beat us for that signing, and he went for like 80 odd million. And like Liverpool rarely spend above. I recognise Van Dijk, isn't it? 75. Well, Nunes now 85 mil plus add-ons, whatever. But yeah, I think when the senior players coming out making it, it's just it's very desperate. I think the desperate attempt at making desperate signings, even though we do need a midfielder, I don't think making a desperate signing is ever a great idea. It's kind of like even like Cavani was a desperate signing from Man United, like Falcao's a signing from Chelsea. It's like one of those signings that very rarely work out very well. So I don't think it's a great idea in the long term, but we do need a midfielder. So if it's the right player, as Klopp keeps saying it's the right player, then so be it. But there's no point forcing it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Rigo, with the what I wanted to ask was, the players that we've been linked with and the way that Klopp's approached this. It sounds like if we didn't have any injuries at this point, we wouldn't have opened our mouths and we wouldn't be looking for anybody. It's because of those injuries. So does that maybe back up the theory that maybe we would go for someone like a Sanderberg, who would come in and be much more of a squad player and not, like a Jude Bellingham or like a Barella, wouldn't come in and be demanding a starting place right away? Because it sounds like, apart from the injuries, he is happy with the personnel. He's happy with the talent that he's got there. Does that make sense?
It definitely does make sense. If none of our players were hurt, they'd be Thiago would be starting, and obviously we wouldn't see that big hole in the midfield that we see now. So I think definitely injuries played a factor in not going for Plan B, which post Aurelien Tchouaméni. I believe definitely we were in for him, and Klopp had conversations with him trying to convince him to come. But once the Mbappe domino fell and Real Madrid had all these millions sitting on top of, they went and obviously spoke to him and got him signed. So I'm a little disappointed we didn't go for Plan B because I know we have more than one target. So as far as the current window, I know our options are diminishing by the minute just because teams already have their squads in mind and don't want to let go of a player and scramble to fill a hole on their side as well. So for the names that are linked, I think the most realistic ones or the ones I'd like the most would be skewing on the younger side with promise that Klopp can mold into and not only just be a squad player, but a potential starter. And we definitely need someone who has legs because our midfield is lacking in that regard unless we plan to start Carvalho or Elliott every single match. So my shot would be Moises Caicedo at this point, fellow Ecuadorian. I'm half Ecuadorian, so for that reason alone, I'd love him in. But he shows definitely a lot of promise, and I think would be great addition to the squad.
Yeah, we've definitely got a Caicedo fan club here because Dan on the channel is also a massive follower of the midfielder as well. So, yeah, I feel like we've definitely got a mounting group of people who would like to see that transfer go through. But I'll stick with you on that one, actually. The transfer fees being thrown around, is he worth that at this point in his career? This season, would he be able to offer £50 million worth, or is that not a fair way to judge him?
I think it would probably be we could probably settle a little lower than that, in the 30 to 40 range, just because of the promise that he's shown currently in the Premier League. I think around that amount would be okay. He doesn't have the long track record some of the other names have been bandied about, obviously, and he's not European either, where we can constantly see him either in the Euros or with the national team. I know Ecuador is in the World Cup, and he might have the chance to blow up even more this fall. So I think a move now would probably be more prescient than waiting for him a little bit down the line, if he is in fact one of our targets. But as far as the other names bandied about, the other thing we need to consider as well is wages. And apart from the transfer fee alone, some of the targets that we are looking at, particularly Frankie de Jong, who I don't expect him to move, but he makes a boatload of money, who would blow out of the water even Salah on his current contract. So that's one thing to consider as well. Not only fit, but also salary and how that would affect the locker room.
Yeah, Kev. I mean, Frankie de Jong was always a pipe dream, wasn't it? You always get yourself sucked in a little bit and think, oh, just what if? But if we're all being honest with ourselves, we never really expected that to materialise.
No, absolutely not. It would have just been fun just to throw it up into Man United's faces every day. Do you know what I mean? That we actually sign them after they've been long looking at them and loving them from afar. It's a shame, really. Do you know what I mean? There's been plenty of potential names that have been named all over the pre-season that we could have brought in. But I think with the injuries and with the performances as well of in the last couple of games, maybe has turned our turn and has made us think, well, we need to go into the market for someone. But it has to be. I know Klopp says this has to be right. I agree with that. It can't be a half-hearted Kabak and Ben Davis kind of look at what we've done in the January transfer window. It has to be someone who can come, and Casido would be decent. He's 20, is he? I think he is. So there is selling. There is a selling on fee that we could actually do, and it would be more likely to go for someone like that, a young potential who can come in and can start a few games. But we've been linked with everyone and anyone. Do you know what I mean? You can name everyone in Europe that we've been linked with over the last couple of months, and some would feel right. A lot of people will have their own favourites to that as well. So it's difficult, but the data we're getting, it's it would have been nice for Frankie de Jong, but I doubt it was never a starter for me. If we were looking for someone of that ilk, then I would have wanted Barella, to be honest.
I mean, Ben, we've already spoken about two players, and it's kind of showing the opposite ends of the spectrum. You've got Sander Berg, a championship player, 24 years old, would come in and most certainly be a squad player, and if he grows into something more, fantastic. On the other end, you've got Frankie de Jong, who it's not happening, but this is the different caliber of players that we're looking at. What does your gut or your head tell you that we're more likely to lean towards if we do get anyone in this summer? A high caliber, expensive signing, or someone not quite Ben Davis, Kabak, but a bit more squad player-ish type of thing?
I think more like someone more like Caicedo, not like I rate Caicedo highly, but I don't think he would be a first. He wouldn't start, but he would easily grow into the team, kind of like a bit like Robbo in a way. Like Robbo was bought to not really start, but he grew into the team very, very well. We got him for a very good price. I think Caicedo will cost a bit more than Robbo did. But I don't think De Jong's not going to happen. That's just never going to happen. I don't think we'd sign Sander Berg either. But I think it'd be somewhere in the middle if we were going to sign any midfielder. I don't think we'd sign someone to just be a squad player for this year, because we need someone who can actually play this year. And then we'll hold out for next summer. We can sign a better midfielder, hopefully Jude Bellingham. But
I mean, somebody else who is kind of in the middle of those two extremes, Jay, is Ruben Neves. And he's come out in a recent interview and slightly unprompted has talked about, missing Champions League football and stuff like that. maybe it's a come and get me. Maybe I'm looking too much into it. I think he was asked about, moves away and what have you. But is that someone that you'd like the look of in a Liverpool shirt?
Out of all the midfielders linked to us, except Barella, he's my number one choice. Neves. He comes straight into the team for me as well. He's good enough for that. His range of passing is brilliant. Can score outside the box, which we don't have. And it's having creativity. Loads of people linked to us, like number sixes. I don't think that's what we need. I think Fabinho's one of the best sixes in the world. Henderson's more than capable of playing there. I actually think that's Henderson's best position now because he offers nothing creativity-wise going forward. So I think a player like Neves would be perfect because he can play the six and he can play the eight. And like I say, his range of passing is brilliant, set-piece expert, captain at Wolves, so he's a leader and can score outside the box. So for me, Neves ticks every single box. I'd be all over him myself.
I feel like it's a slightly overused term, and I think it can be a little bit irrelevant, but he's got that Premier League experience is maybe something that stands him out from some of the other links, obviously Caicedo as well. But Kev, is Neves someone that you would hope that we'd definitely be looking into at least?
Out of the ones, I totally agree with Jay. He's up there for me. He could offer us so much. And if you listen to what Klopp has asked for, and what he identifies, and he wants someone who can play an 8 and a 6. So he fits that profile straight away, and we should be going. But it wouldn't be cheap. You're looking at about 50, 60 odd mil, and especially at this late stage, it could be a little bit more. But I'd be all over it myself. He was heavily linked with United, and if United hadn't went for him, I think that would be in a better fit than what Casemiro is for me personally.
Hang on, I'm just searching up somebody else actually, but I don't know if he's not in his last year of his contract, is he?
Is that Conrad Lehmer?
Oh, it might be actually. Okay, Neves has got 2 years left by the looks of it, so. Oh yeah, maybe we could negotiate something. I don't know, but Rigo, I know you're kind of in the Caicedo boat, but Neves is someone who's performed at a very high level in this league and has consistently shown his quality. And again, he's definitely been on the list for teams like Man United. So maybe just for the banter of stealing someone from them again, maybe we should go in for him. No.
I think he's definitely quality and would add something to the team and would be a nailed-on starter as well. The only trepidation that I would have with that move, if you take a look at his overall stats, is his defensive numbers are fair to middling, and I know that Klopp and Pep Linders will probably get more out of him in that respect of the game, and also style of play might have something to do with that, but. He attempts 3 tackles a game and misses like 2 of them. I forget what stat it was, but he gets dribbled past plenty, and he earns his fair share of yellow cards as well. So while he does offer a threat outside the box, those aren't high probable shots, and his assist numbers aren't super high as well. But again, that goes to style of play. He does a lot for the Wolves as far as carrying possession and kind of being the first pass that leads to the assist, But I think he would add something to it. I think with that Premier League experience, that probably tacks on at least another 10 to 15 million on his overall valuation, just for that. One shout that hasn't been named, but in kind of scouting Barella, I was watching the Lazio Inter Milan match on Friday. Sergei Milinkovic-Savic is just an absolute machine. And if there's any way to pry him away from Lazio, I think he would be just absolute killer in the Premier League. He's 6'4". He can carry the ball, dribble. His defensive numbers are great as well. An absolute leader on that squad, carrying them. He hasn't been named, but in previous windows, he has been kind of shouted out for a move. So I think if we were shopping around, that'd be somebody who I'd be ecstatic to bring in.
I mean, it feels like Milinkovic-Savic has just been around and mentioned in transfer windows for years. Like whether it's us, I think Man United are the team that have been linked with him the most. You know, if anyone watches the United stand for a laugh, may I add, you'll know that he's linked with them every window, whether it's January or summer. I just wonder why he hasn't moved, why he hasn't come to the Premier League yet. It's quite an interesting one. But with the Neves situation and kind of coming back to the theme of this video, Jay, again, you know, teams like Wolves are building something. They're obviously changing their approach. They've shipped out Connor Cody for this season at least. They've brought in Nunes, who we would have liked to have signed. They're clearly trying to build something, and so again, to leave it this late, Neves is someone we could have absolutely been in for and absolutely got across the line even a couple of weeks ago before the season started. But for that reason, I almost doubt that we do get anybody in. It feels like it has been a mighty cock up on our end.
I agree with you. I don't see us signing anyone now, just for how late it is, to be honest. But Wolves have just signed Nunes, which, you know, he's not necessarily an exact replacement for Neves, but I think if we do sign someone, it's not going to be anyone that we're linked to, any of them. So it won't be Tielemans, it won't be Neves, it won't be Casado, won't be Burge. It could be someone like Rodrigo said, Milinkovic-Savic, because that's primarily what Liverpool do. You're there nothing, and then they're stood there with a shirt and a signed. So in my mind, I don't think we get anyone, but I think if we do, it's probably not going to be someone that any of us are expecting. Which, you know, could be a good thing. Might be someone completely outside of the box, but I hope we do get someone. But I allude to what Kev said earlier. I don't want it to just be anyone like Sander Berge just for the sake of it. I'd rather just play Bajcetic or give Jones a better run of games, use our own youth rather than blowing 35 mil on a Championship player, because there's better options for that type of money. Younger players and ones with less injuries than him as well. So we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we do get someone, but time will tell.
Yeah, Hyler's said a couple of times about close, you know, Liverpool will go to clubs they're familiar with, teams that they're close with, thrown out the Red Bull teams, Leipzig and Salzburg. Is that something that sounds realistic to you, Ben, in terms of players that from those clubs we could go in for?
Do you mean like Lima, for example?
Yeah, that's someone that's been linked quite a lot in the last few days.
Yeah. I agree with Jay. I don't think there was anyone that we're linked with. It's kind of like similar to Fabinho. Like we weren't linked with Fabinho at all, and then bang, just signed him, picture him in the shirt. It's like similar to that. So I don't think we'll sign anyone this window. But if we do, I don't think of anyone that we're linked with. I mean, yeah, I don't personally see us signing Lima or no. I don't think anyone that we're linked with personally, no.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, Rigo, the question that no one wants to think about yet, but as I said, it's getting closer. What if we don't sign anyone? It's been massively exasperated by the comments made by certain people at the club, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if we don't sign one, while disappointing, I think it leads into the fact that we know the players that we want, and we have experience with whether they're academy players or the players coming off the injured list, that we know that they'll fit into how we want to play, and we know the effort that they'll give in. Now, unfortunately, a lot of those players, their bodies aren't cooperating with it, and the opportunities may have presented themselves and they weren't ready for them. Curtis Jones, looking at you, unfortunately, I think he would have filled in the gap tremendously if he was healthy with Thiago and Naby getting hurt. But the player that I definitely would like to see, like Jay was saying before, I'm also half Spaniard, so fellow Spaniard, Stefan Bajcetic, I think he'd be tremendous. He shows no fear on the ball. and he welcomes in the pressure from the other team. And that's one thing that I'm disappointed in Henderson. Henderson just hot potatoes the ball here and there, looking to not get dispossessed himself and just laying the potato on someone else. So the one thing that I've liked with Stefan is that he welcomes in that pressure. At this young stage, he seems like he knows where to be at this point. And him being with the first team, learning from Fabinho, I think that is our long-term and near-term solution at the 6-hole. Because Henderson, I'm sorry, but he was just all over the place against Man U, and I blame him for the most part for our failure to win that match. The holes that he just left open were just baffling when playing the 6th role. So I'd love him to come off the bench and relieve Fabinho in certain spots, but I don't want him as a starter there. So I think we do have solutions in-house. We just got to get him off the training table and onto the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, Kev, a lot of people are saying that really, if we're being realistic, we probably need at least 2 midfielders in an ideal scenario to actually better the squad. Maybe that's true. Maybe signing one isn't actually that much better than signing none.
Yeah, that makes sense. I also think that if we don't sign anyone, I do think that January we need to go into the window, because this season is going to be the difficult season you can ever. This season is based in 2 halves. One leading up to the World Cup and one for after the World Cup, and we need to have players in place. So I'm not too heartbroken if we don't get someone this window, but I'd like us to have someone in place to come in the January window straight away that can come in, because we are going to lose players for a significant amount of weeks due to the World Cup finishing and how later stages our certain teams are going to go into, and certain players we're going to need options for there. We need Alisson will probably go further in the World Cup, so I don't see him starting in the Boxing Day game. Likewise with Fabinho as well. So we need to bring someone in. I'd like, one. I agree with you, Luke. One instead of it needs to be 2, and I'm not having. We bring one in and we lose Keita, because we're not actually doing anything there. We're still left in the same situation and the same scenario in which we're still looking for another 2 or 3 in the windows to come. But I think it's integral to that. I'd like to see fair play to Rigo. That's probably the best pronunciation of Stefan Pesajic I've ever heard, by the way. So well done, mate. I just hope I've loved him. He's the only one this season in pre-season I've gone, wow, I want to see more of him. And he's actually come in, and he saw him yesterday. He came on the confidence of spraying 30, 40-yard balls, no problem. And he's only 16, 17. Come in, and he's doing a job. Great for him, and give him the minutes. These 5 substitutions will help him, and hopefully, he'll do well for us. I do agree with Rigo. I think he is going to be potentially the main one to have the throne off Fabinho, but I'm not too disheartened as probably Jem will be in the chat if we do not sign anyone on the 1st of September. So feel sorry if anyone's on the stream that day, because they're going to get it off Jen, I think. So
I think that's a really interesting point, what you mentioned about the January window and the season almost being, well, it is in 2 parts, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I mean, Jay, is that... I hate to peddle the old FSG line of, next window we'll sign somebody, but is that actually maybe something we could work with? We've come to this realization maybe a bit too late that we should have signed somebody. We look around for the next few days, nothing materializes that is realistic. We don't sign anyone. Obviously, there will be some outrage among certain fans in the fan base, but we managed to get through the first half of the season. We've got some targets sorted. January the 1st, similar to Van Dijk, we go out and get it sorted and bring somebody in. Would that temper some frustrations? Would that be acceptable? Or is it? Are you more on the case of, no, we need somebody now because there's still four or 5 months until January. We can't wait that long.
No, I was like that beginning of the season. I was adamant we needed a midfielder, but I think I just came to the acceptance we were getting one. So if we don't, I won't be that disheartened now, because I'd already told myself we weren't getting one. But you've seen the impact bringing players in January's done for us in the past. Like you said, Van Dijk, Diaz, Suarez, obviously a long time ago, but they're all January deals. So if you can identify a player now and a club says, look, we can't replace that player in time, and that can then go on to January, as long as it's the right player, then yeah, there's no problem with that, because like Kev alluded to, after the World Cup, it's the second part of the season. There's going to be injuries, players who've lost form, all sorts of things. So if you can identify it now and maybe not get it over the line, at least then you can have it in place for January, because we've seen in the past it can have a massive impact on your season if you get the right player.
I mean, Rigo, I could see you having conversations in the live chat. A couple of people have suggested, and it is, it's not an uncommon opinion. It feels like it's growing as, Trent's defensive skills are micro-analysed at an unprecedented scale every single game. A lot of people talking about moving him into the midfield. Let's hear your thoughts on that one, because if we don't sign someone, I think a lot of people are going to start to suggest that quite a lot.
2 words: no hell. No way do we move him into midfield. That he drifts in midfield already, coming in from his right back position. He's all over the place. He's our joker. Why would you turn a joker into an 8 of clubs when you're playing cards? So no way do we want him in the midfield. You want to use him to the best of his ability, something Gareth Southgate unfortunately doesn't understand. So and maybe luckily for us, Trent doesn't play and doesn't get hurt in the World Cup, but you never know. No way do we put him in the midfield. I think we have enough resources now to, even with the guys that are injured, to do a job there, so long as they stick to their role and we make accommodations elsewhere on the pitch to make up for whatever deficiencies they might have. All the talk about Trent and his defensive numbers always comes up when he's beaten to, for example, the back post. But usually it's because he's trailing back, because he does so much for us on the offensive end. If we shore up our structure in the midfield so that we're not letting those 1-2 passes completely decimate and break our team like we have in the first 3 games of the season, I think all that negative talk as far as Trent's defensive numbers will go out the window, even though on a broader level, those national analysts don't see our matches as we do. They'll still use that because that's their only talking point when talking about Trent Alexander-Arnold. So no way. Keep him where he is.
Yeah, Ben, what's your take on that? Because it feels it's almost the same to Jordan Henderson a few years ago. As soon as we start losing, it's, we need to change things. Henderson needs to go. Trent can't defend. A game like yesterday reminds us of his prowess. I mean, obviously his, ability to strike a ball and to be a massive part of our attack as well. Is that something that we should consider doing, changing his position?
No way now. I think he's the best right back in the world. Why would you move the best right back in the world into midfield? He played in midfield for England, didn't he? And he wasn't the same. It's different because he has more space when he comes from right back into midfield. He has more space to operate in. When he just starts in midfield, you can't move as freely. He's not got as much time on the ball. It's like, I don't see why it makes any sense. He gets as many assists as like De Bruyne from right back, so there's no point. I don't see any reason why he moves midfield. Plus, if you move to midfield, who's going to play right back? Do we put like Milner at right back all the time? I don't like. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why they'd ever put Trent in midfield.
Yeah, Jay, your thought on this as well, but I think Ben makes a good point. Is that each position in our team has quite a specific role, and the right side today is probably what people think Trent could do. But we've seen it with Elliott, we've seen it with Henderson. They facilitate what Trent does. They, form that triangle with Trent and Salah, and they're constantly interchanging, allowing Trent to come inside and Salah to do his thing as well. It is almost a case of why change what isn't broken, but is his defence that bad that we need to move him out of there? I don't know.
No, I think Rigo and Ben both hit the nail on the head. Trent doesn't play just right back, he drifts into the middle all the time, like Rigo said earlier. And I completely agree with Ben. Playing at right back, you get 10 times more time on the ball than in the middle of the pitch. You've got more space to move with, which we haven't seen Trent play that role. So you couldn't say he'd be better in midfield than where he is. And like you've said, Lou, top assist nearly every season. Why'd you change that? You know, if Salah's top goal scorer, did you say, do you know what, should we play him on the left this season because he's left-footed, might be better on the left? Well, why? He's top scorer every season. Something's not broke, you don't fix it. Trent is our right back, and yeah, he's not the best defender in the world in terms of his defensive work, but that's not what he's in the team for. That's why we play Fabinho, so to double up, to do the defensive work that Trent can't do. And Trent gives you more creativity than most midfielders in Europe, but maybe Kevin De Bruyne. Like the numbers and passes that Trent puts up are ridiculous, and he's one of the most underappreciated footballers in the world. I honestly rate him as one of the best footballers in the world. His passing is disgusting. It really is disgusting. You can't teach it. It's just the angles he can hit, the different types of ball, the pace of it. He's brilliant, mate. So I agree with both the boys. I wouldn't switch him anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry I could tell there are maybe a fair few people in the live chat who do believe Trent could play midfield, and I'm just sorry that we haven't got anyone on this panel who shares that opinion. So I apologise if it looks like we're kind of shoving our opinion down your throat. But Kev, to complete the, it's not a trilogy or a quadrilogy, but whatever 5 things is,
Quintet.
Yeah, quintet or whatever. Are we slightly underestimating how difficult it is to change positions? To go from being a right back where you've got 180 degrees of the pitch to focus on, and you can cut in if you need be, and you create that overload. You are the extra man in the midfield if you do what Trent does, as opposed to starting out as a centre mid where you then have that 360 view. It's almost the same as, for anyone who watches cricket, and I might be the only one here, making someone like Joe Root your captain, it takes away from what he's best at and makes him focus on other things as well that doesn't help what he's good at. So by moving him to centre mid, although it looks like he's got the attributes for that, potentially you're actually going to just draw back and he won't be as successful.
No, I agree. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people can do that and can evolve and move into that. I totally agree with what everyone said, especially the Gareth Southgate shout, because he can play in midfield. It doesn't mean that he can start there. I think out of all the right backs that I've seen, I've season ticket holder, so I get to see everyone up close, which is nice, and I'm quite high up as well, so I get to see the match as well. He's the most covered right back by our team, unbelievably so. The fact that Henderson, you've got Fabinho, everyone covers for him, and he's the only one who's allowed to have a kind of a free role as to where he moves and where he goes to within our team. To lose that, you lose Trent as a player, and to move him into midfield, you're nullifying half of his attributes by doing so, by playing him in there. He needs to be played as a right back, and believe it or not, he is the start of the majority of our actual, our actual goal assists and etc. And that's coming from right back. He's pivotal to where he is, and everyone as we've said has a role to play. They also have a role to play when Trent goes Roman, and you'd lose that if you then move him into midfield, because then it's asking for an ask of someone in the right back position, because what we do is we start then alluding to how good Trent was, and then we start making these false claims that, as Ben correctly said, we start playing Milner there, or we'll play Henderson there because we're not quite ready with it, and Ramsey and that. You lose a lot by moving him in midfield, and that's what Southgate has found out to his own cause, as he doesn't know where to play him. He wants to play him in midfield, but he doesn't know how to. He has to be given a free role, and he has a free role within our team. You saw it yesterday, the amount of times he was in that midfield, and at some points, he was actually our number 9. He was that close to when Elliott scored. He was already in the number 9 position in that position. He's allowed to roam. He's the only right back I know who's allowed to roam in the league or in the world. No one else can do that, and you lose a hell of a lot if you start asking him to play in midfield from the start. Sorry.
No, that's all right. No, I've just noticed Jay's been forced to turn his lights on with the cost of living crisis and energy prices surging. He's had to give in and turn his lights on just as he was about to disappear. So we'll save him money, and we can all turn our lights off. We'll end it there. It's been a good stream. I think we've covered a lot of ground, and it's great to have so many people. 180 people currently in the chat. So please do like this video if you haven't done so already. If you've forgotten, and if you are new, we go live every night at 7:30. We've got videos throughout the day, watch-alongs, previews, post-match reaction, transfer news. Everything is all here on the LFC Transfer Room. So please press that subscribe button, press the bell notification to get notified when we go live. And if you want, you can become a member as well by pressing the join button. I've been Louis. This has been Rigo, Kev, Ben, and Jay. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow for another stream at 7:30. Take care.